When I was a young man, 10 years old or so, I found this book in this dusty old bookstore of Byzantine history. And I was reading all about this glorious civilization that had lived on after the fall of Rome, when Europe was in its dark ages and everything else was just splitting people's heads open with axes and stuff. Like, this was a very civilized place. I had read so much about it. Finally, I had the chance to go there, and it was quite a special experience. The university is very new. I think construction was finished around the millennium, and it's much different than the rest of Istanbul, which can be very crowded. It's an English-speaking university. All the Turkish students there need to pass English exams to get in, and it's helpful in that regard because taking classes in Turkish would be quite difficult from the outset. Many of my professors had worked at Harvard before and continued to go back and forth between the schools. There were also professors there from Columbia University. There had been professors who had worked at Rutgers before, for example, so it has a lot of tie with the most prestigious universities in America. My experience was such that I didn't feel pressured to speak Turkish. But once I got outside of Istanbul and spent more and more time outside of the campus itself, I wanted to learn Turkish, and I did it. But if one stays in the university, you can get by without it, because everyone there can speak English quite well. Istanbul is perfectly situated to travel in the surrounding area because it's less than 2 hours to the pyramids and less than 2 hours to the Colosseum. I had the opportunity to go to Jordan and Egypt in the Middle East. I went to Georgia and Armenia on the eastern side of Turkey. Everyone who goes to Turkey should go to Greece. It's very easy. I did that. The travel opportunities are unrivaled because everything is really so physically close, and therefore it's inexpensive. These have been places I've been reading about for a great amount of time and wanted to go to, and now I had the opportunity to get there in less than an hour by plane. And they're inviting cities. It's easy to travel through. Turkey is a good public transportation system, so I had to go for it. And I did it in just about 10 days. The wonderful thing about traveling through Turkey or through the Middle East is that although you might plan to travel alone, you never will. For example, when I got off the plane in Amman in Jordan, I met this Russian man who had been on the same flight as me from Istanbul, and we were just going to some common places, so we became friends and traveled around many sites in Jordan together. I've stayed in contact with him. When I was crossing the Sinai, I met these 3 American girls from Chicago, stayed in touch with them. We traveled all the way to Cairo, where I met a bunch of French teachers teaching at the French private school there. And they let me stay in their apartments, and I just had a great time seeing the city with them. Americans should never feel hesitant about going towards the Middle East, because one thing that did make the trip and was really prevalent was how well I was regarded as an American. When you go to countries that are a little bit more remote, like Georgia or Armenia, these former Soviet countries, the inhabitants are thrilled that you're in their country, and they really go out of their way to make you welcome. And they'll always ask you about America. What's New York like? What's New Jersey like? Where are you from? Oh, I have relatives in New Jersey. I have relatives in New York. So you see the other side of the world where, well, it's a treat to be an American traveling around. It really is.